What is the multiverse? Welcome to Philosopher's Corner. I'm John. What is the multiverse? It's the idea that multiple universes are existing simultaneously. Now, that's sort of at odds with older thinking, where previously philosophers had said, okay, there's the universe, and it was singular, infinite and eternal, but singular. And now we have the multiverse, which is multiple universes existing simultaneously. It's made popular mainly by the Marvel Cinematic Universe, where they combine their movie franchises to create a cohesive universe. And then on top of that, they had other universes connect to it. So what is it, right? So we're saying that it's multiple universes existing simultaneously, where previously we're saying there's only one universe existing, but it had simultaneous creations within it. So is there really a difference? Because when we're talking about, like when we talk about the normal universe, the normal universe, even if we look at our local place in space, so we have our solar system, which now that I think about it, I'm a little bit surprised our solar system doesn't have an actual name. But our solar system is within the Milky Way galaxy. And when you look at what scientists are finding out, that we have like billions and billions, possibly trillions of stars in a galaxy, just one galaxy, right? You're getting really close to there being essentially infinite existential permutations of life just within a given galaxy. When you look into it, because in a holographic universe, which we've established that we're in, and when we realize that it's interlatticed, right? There's all these dimensional layers. Even if it was just our solar system, within this reality that we're in, the 3D reality, it's interlaced with all these different layers and all these different universes that are within just this one that we're in, right? For instance, it doesn't even have to be super exotic. So we have our waking reality that we see in our 3D, and then if we just zoom down a little bit, all of a sudden, there's insect world, right? And that's its own universe. And then if we zoom down a little bit more into the microscopic level, then there's like all these tiny microscopic animals that they're living their own life in the microscopic level. A bunch of them are like living inside of us and living in the cellular world, and they're essentially fully formed animals just on these microscopic levels, and they're existing simultaneous to the regular 3D level that we live in, interlaced into it. And then when you go deeper than that, then you have like chemical level, there's a whole bunch of stuff going on there. And then you go subatomic level, a whole bunch of stuff going on there. And then when you consider that there's all these other consciousness layers and astral layers that many psychonauts and yogis and mystics and all those people travel to, that are layered here, people that come back from the DMT trips to tell you that there's all these astral layers. So like if you're going more into the material reality with microscopes and electron microscopes and seeing things at chemical and subatomic levels and whatnot, then you can actually do it the other way. And as you go into a more transcendental direction, and you get out of the material reality instead of diving into the material reality, then you start to see that there's these other layers. Just how when you go into the material realm deeper, and there's other fundamental layers to it, as you go higher up, there's all these other transcendental layers that you travel through going upwards in an ascension. And so all of those layers are stacked on each other, and that's just here on Earth, right? And that's just within our local solar system. And then when you start to do the numbers of just how many stars are in a galaxy like the Milky Way galaxy, in terms of the practicality of it, it's nearly infinite. Now, mathematically, it's not close to infinite, but like in terms of practical physical causation and permutation and creation space, it's like practically, as far as the human mind is concerned, it's practically tripping the limit of infinity. Okay, that's just one galaxy. And from what they say, there's billions, perhaps trillions of galaxies. All right? Which means that they're probably going to find out that it's just, there's no end to it, right? Or that at some point where they think there's an end, that it like loops on itself into another like degree of itself, right? Even just with that, that's just like what we're working off with as a mental model of the universe, right? The universe that we have traditionally examined is this series of solar systems comprising galaxies globbing together, and then galactic clusters and globs all come together to create this thing that we've been generally referencing to ourselves as the universe. And within that, all the layers, all the permutations, all the different things that like slightly refresh it, keep it going. Still with the idea that if they're wherever the edge of this whole darn thing is there outside of that is a void from which the light, or the Big Bang, or however you want to, like, whatever conclusion you've come to, the birth of the universe itself came into, right? So the multiverse is you take all that and then replicate that and then say, okay, now there were other Big Bangs in other existential spaces aside from this one, aside from like whatever you think about this universe, then like, okay, that happened in other places. So if you're already trying to break your mind figuring out how we came into existence from the void, then try to wrap your mind around the fact that like there were other universes that came into existence in other parts of the void with seemingly no corollary to us, just separately, like a separate Big Bang, create a separate universe that's presumably also infinite and eternal, also happening simultaneously. That's the other interesting thing about diving down into material reality, or actually just creation in general, is that anything that you can imagine, any mental inquiry you can do into creation itself, all of the stuff is happening in the moment. There's no other moment of things vibrating, existing in. Anything that you can imagine, everything that's occurring, whether you think it's physical life, astral life, afterlife, subatomic, microscopic, interlayered, parallel, anything, even if you think something, it's all happening in the moment. That's what orthodox science says, and there's no proof that anything's happening outside of this moment. So even if you have an idea of time travel, where you think somebody's going to time travel, like say they go to the future, right? The future, that future is happening simultaneous to now in terms of it being lived out. So those moments are parallel to each other. Like they're all happening on the same plane. And in terms of the multiverse, the idea is that we have this universe, and then there's other universes that are also simultaneously existing. So I suppose in this sense, if any of this is true or logical, this is philosophy, so it's all, there's a lot of speculation occurring here, theorizing. The idea, practically speaking, I guess the only difference between what we're doing with our model of the universe and how we think it operates and the idea that there's a multiverse is just that because our universe, for a lot of practical purposes, is already a multiverse when you just compare different galaxies. For a normal mind, there's almost like really no difference, although there is. So really what we're saying is just the origin story of these different universe creations is different, although presumably it would be the same. I mean, that would be interesting. Imagine if we were able to shoot the James Webb Telescope right into the Big Bang, and then it looked into it and looked so far into it that somehow it looked into the creation of other universes. Like, what if the Big Bang was the central hub for the birth of multiple universes, not just ours? Like, maybe we were interpreting it as the birth of different galaxies and just the singular birth of our universe, but it turns out that in fact there were other universes being born that were being manifested into different parts of the void, which provided the fabric for the time-space that emerged in a way that was inaccessible until we went back to the birth of our universe as a portal, and then went through that portal into the birth of these other universes that were previously undetectable in any capacity, because we had to go through the unsubstantiated or the unmaterialized potential, like electrostatic plasmatic light level that the Big Bang came out of, and go into there, and then it came out in some other place that, according to where we're at, didn't even exist, like doesn't exist, but then also exists in parallel in the same eternal moment that we do, but was given birth to in a different part of the void that we're unaware of. And it's as complex and sophisticated, has all the same mechanics, perhaps has different constitutions, slightly different ones perhaps, but for all intents and purposes is familiar to us in its structure, because its creation is similar to ours, but was previously unknown to us because it doesn't exist in our time space, but is also parallel to us in many ways, and that happens all over the place. And, and perhaps we're in an era of evolution where we're becoming conscious of it now, and then at some point we can connect to it, or we can make contact with it, or maybe just being aware of it's enough. Those are all questions down the road, but just here in this moment theorizing that, yeah, in the same manner that our universe was given birth to, perhaps other universes, multiple universes, were given birth to. And then obviously can wildly speculate about the nature of them, what's going on with them, if we have any kind of direct connections to them. Just the fact that we can sit here and even theorize or use our imagination and our thought process to even consider the idea that they exist is something. So the multiverse. Multiple universes existing simultaneously, previously unaware of each other. Now maybe we're becoming aware of them. Well, thanks for spending some time here at Philosopher's Corner. I hope you found it helpful, and have fun.